Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of DefDave's 1984. I'm your host, DefDave, and on this show, we are taking a chronological, comprehensive journey through every aspect of what I consider to be the best year ever. I'm super excited to be talking to you tonight. We are on February 26th, and what makes today special, what's significant about this day in 1984, it is actually the network television broadcast premiere of Star Wars. And if you're anywhere close to my age, you know how important Star Wars is to our entire generation. So I needed to find somebody to help me talk about it. That was not hard. Everybody loves Star Wars. I am thrilled to bring onto the show a member of the Canadian movie crew, Mr. Mean Mark himself from the Or Is It podcast. Mark, welcome. How you doing?
I'm great, DefDave. Thank you so much for having me here today. I was surprised to get your email, but pleasantly surprised. 1984, what a great year. Fun to look back on to. What are we talking today? We're talking the wars. It's hard to be happier than this.
Yeah. So before we get started, I want to ask you this. So how did you find me here in 1984? What was your time travel method that enabled you to come back here and join me during the best year ever?
Oh, well, luckily I stepped through something a little bit controversial, you may know as the world between worlds. Yes, I tapped into the Force and found a gate and was able to step into the world between worlds. Master Yoda greeted me there and said, "Go to 84, you will." Yes.
Excellent. So yeah, we're looking at February 26th. This was a Sunday night. The yesterday, or on February 25th, Van Halen's "Jump" becomes the #1 song in the country. It would stay there for 5 weeks.
Oh yeah, it was on my radio all the time.
And Saturday Night Live, I try to track this as much as I can. This was weird. Saturday Night Live was hosted by Edwin Newman, who was a longtime newscaster for NBC and had just retired. Not a comedian at all.
What an odd choice.
But I think there was this trend around the time, kind of picking their cue from Leslie Nielsen in Airplane, of trying to get like super straight guys to like be in the middle of these absurd comedy skits. And so they kind of went with this guy. He had just left NBC as a newscaster after decades. I don't know, weird, but they did have Kool and the Gang as their musical guest. So
yeah, I don't remember that guy making the 5 Timers Club on SNL. So it was still a relatively young show. They were nowhere near their 50th anniversary. So you know what? Experimentation, sure.
That's right. So it's February 26th, and we are actually getting, for the first time, Star Wars on broadcast television. And I am excited to find that out, because I'm going to assume you're in the same boat with me. There was nothing bigger than Star Wars in my childhood. It was absolutely like the defining element of everything.
Yes, absolutely. It was between this, which constantly was just on my brain, and then now during this time I was 9 years old.
Okay, I was going to ask you.
So I was also the target for things like Transformers, Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe.
Yes.
All of those Saturday morning cartoons. I was the target. I hassled my parents to buy the toys because I liked them. And that was on my TV weekly. So while you had Star Wars just always there, there was also like a daily, weekly input from these other sources. And of course, they all gel together sometimes. And, you know, it's nothing for Bumblebee and Luke Skywalker to have an adventure together and, out in the backyard.
Oh, yeah. So, for me, the early 80s, it was all about, driving my mongoose home from school, putting Thriller vinyl on the record player while I fire up Pitfall on my Atari 2600, and then trying to hurry up and get through dinner and do my homework so I can get out my Star Wars action figures and play with them until bedtime. Glorious time to be alive. Star Wars was just absolutely everything. We're going to get into all that, but But before we go further, I want to ask you again. So you said you were 9 years old at this
Yeah.
stage in 1984. I had just turned 13. So the stuff that you're into, like you just mentioned all the different cartoons and everything, like this is like the height of childhood. So I guess what I want to know is like, did Star Wars loom above the rest of it? Did it stand out in any particular way, or is it just all a part of this whole pop culture smorgasbord we had going on?
It sort of, I don't want to say got lost in the shuffle, because there was something obviously grandiose and special about it. And so where I was living at the time was kind of like a little hamlet, if you will, just outside of the nation's capital here in Canada. That's Ottawa, by the way, not Toronto. Most people think it's Toronto. But anyway, so it was kind of insulated, right? And I was limited to whatever toys I could talk my parents into getting, plus whatever the neighbor kids had. And collectively, it was a big smorgasbord of He-Man versus G.I. Joe versus Star Wars versus Transformers. I think one guy had something from Mask, Mobile Armor and Strike Command.
Yes.
No one could find Jason the Wheeled Warriors still to this day. Actually, it's if you've heard of it, then thank you. I'm not that crazy. But it really was a big smorgasbord, and we were just inundated. Like daily appointment television was the thing. Do you remember when on Friday nights when Dukes of Hazzard and the Incredible Hulk were on?
Yes.
Well, at like 8, 9 years old, I got to watch those under the condition I stayed up and watched Dallas with my dad. That was his Friday night appointment television. Soap operas for adults, I guess, or for soap operas for the working person who's got a day job. They can get, you know what I mean?
Right.
They get the Friday night, but that was all like 2 hours of TV, family time, and then wake up Saturday morning. Transformers, He-Man, G.I. Joe, boom, 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 boom. Yeah. I'm getting ready to go to hockey practice, and I'm changing in front of the TV, putting on as much gear as I could, but like not wanting to. No, wait, Cobra's about to do something bad. You know what I mean? Like, what's Megatron going to do now? And it all is like that. So Star Wars, it kind of, unfortunately, because we didn't have this right away, these television events, it kind of went back and forward. Like it was always there. But then there was also, here's what's in front of my face right now. Right. And that's by design, like their designs, they worked on me. I tell you that. I'll full on admit it. The toys that were the commercial for the toys, for the cartoons that were commercials for the toys that were, the whole thing. And, but to be honest, Lucas started that.
He did.
Merchandising, that was his bag. And so all of it does track back to Star Wars.
Yeah, I want to touch on that a little bit later because that is a massive piece of this whole phenomenon, and also just changing the whole game going forward of how event movies are marketed, and all that kind of stuff. You mentioned your dad watching Dallas. Dallas was the #1 rated primetime show during this 83-84 season. Mm-hmm. Actually, all 3 of the primetime soaps were in the top 10 of the Nielsen's. That's including Knots Landing and Dynasty.
Yeah.
A lot of adults watching primetime soaps. I was not watching those shows, but they were all in the top 10. I absolutely remember Dukes of Hazzard and Incredible Hulk. I mean, you're talking peak childhood for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got a few years on you. I was 6. Actually, I was about to say I was 6 when the first Star Wars movie came out. I have done the detective work to figure out that I probably did not see it until it was re-released in theaters in 1978. Because in those pre-VCR, pre-home video days, movies got re-released a lot more regularly. And
especially the ones that did the big numbers like that. Jaws, I believe, had a re-release as well as one of the, if not the original summer blockbuster. Star Wars 2001, I think, probably had a couple of theater runs. Like your Alien, once it took off.
Yep. So So I was probably 7 in 78 when I saw the first movie in the theaters. I was 9 when I saw Empire Strikes Back, and I lived at the movie theater that summer. To me, that's the 0 year. That's the 0 event for movies in my life is Empire Strikes Back, the summer that I was 9.
Nice.
And then I saw Return of the Jedi at age 12. You're a little bit younger than me, so you might have even been too young to see Return of the Jedi in the theaters. Do you remember the
Au,
first time you saw these movies?
au contraire, mon frère, I do remember.
Okay, all right.
The year was 1980.
Oh,
A young 5-year-old, so this would have been May of 1980, now I have older siblings, a minimum 10 years older than me, and then up from there. That's part of my family dynamic. I do have a younger sister as well, but a large family, 6 kids of us, right? So my siblings were the ones that were the babies, obviously the babysitters. And in the summer of 1980, one of them took me to a double bill matinee, Star Wars, evening show, Empire Strikes Back. I didn't stand a chance, Dave.
oh.
Not a chance. I was hooked, bamboozled, seduced, whatever you want to call it. They got me. Young, impressionable, and had just hours of this amazingness.
I'm not kidding. I have goosebumps right now.
I have goosebumps talking about it, and it's my memory. You know.
I mean, everybody, an entire generation captivated by that opening shot in A New Hope with the destroyer coming over the head, and it just doesn't stop, and you're astounded by the scope and scale of it all.
I barely sat down. I think I was hanging on to the front or to the back of the seat in front of me. Just a little kid just looking over the back of the seat in front of me. Luckily, there was no one there, and just spellbound. And then, so after A New Hope, Star Wars.
Star Wars, yes.
That's right. After Star Wars, then there was an intermission. And so I got to cool down, bathroom break, refill the popcorn. My sister and I, we hung out. I remember for some reason we were just hanging out in some stairwell because she just needed to contain me. And we were just kind of killing time until the next show, and then right back into it and into the evening show. And it was just, now all of a sudden things take, I don't even realize it, but things take a bit of a graphic jump, if you will. Yep. But I don't care. Here comes another Star Destroyer. I'm like, oh, we're doing it again, you know. And then the probe droid, and then, oh my goodness, I don't
know. You didn't have time to process Star Wars before you turned around and watched Empire like an hour later.
Yeah, there was a time when it was all one movie for me.
Oh my goodness. I mean, we needed 3 years to like process this movie. You know, it was so just so much fun. Like, this was the moment movies became fun. And I mean,
this was one of the first movies I saw in theater.
It doesn't, I don't know if you can name a bigger pop culture impact that a movie has had than Star Wars had on us. And it not only shaped our childhoods, it inspired so many careers in the movie business.
Yes.
There's so many people,
yep.
Not just directors, a lot of directors, but just almost everybody for a generation or two will tell you, I got into this because of that opening shot in Star Wars.
Absolutely. Without even knowing, I could guarantee that too. Pick any of those many credits, find someone in that industry, you know, find a bunch of people in that industry. At least one of them is going to say, yeah, like Key Grip. Oh, I got into it because of Star Wars. Okay, right. Sure. The boom mic guy, Star Wars. Okay, sure.
Yeah,
you know, great.
Sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whatever. I mean, no job too small. So I had 3 years to process the two of them. So then when I was 9 or 8 turning 9 in 1983, one of my sisters was going to school in Kingston. Now I was living in Ottawa, so it's a 2-hour drive, and you know that's how Canadians measure distances, by how long it's going to take you to drive there.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So 2-hour drive, but my mom put me on a bus on a coach, sat me at the front seat, gave the driver the death stare. Oh yeah, and my mother could do that. She said, you watch over him with your life, and he believed her. So he did. I made it 2 hours down the road. My sister was going to school there. She picked me up. I stayed there for the weekend in the dorms. And on the Saturday night, 1983, it was dinner and Return of the Jedi. I was so excited. It was just, now what was fun for me, and kind of only for me, but I don't get the chance to tell this story very often. So life happens, yada, yada, yada. years later, I find myself back in Kingston because of a girl, right? There's, all the best stories have a girl involved. So because of a girl, I got married and lived in Kingston. I ended up actually being able to commute to work, walking right by that theater every day. And
Oh,
every
man.
single day I was reminded of 1983.
Nice. Yeah. Actually, that opening night of Return of the Jedi is one of my golden memories with my dad. I lost my dad a few years ago. He was just as much into Star Wars as I was.
Bud, that's awesome.
And listen, in context, I'm 12 years old in 83. A quarter of my life had been spent wondering if Darth Vader had told the truth about being Luke's dad. Another quarter of my life goes by where I'm debating this every day and every year with my friends. Finally, 3 years later, which might as well have been 3 decades.
Yep.
We get Return of the Jedi, and my dad and I are going together to the theater, and it's packed out. There's a line out the door. There's a buzz in the crowd. There's people dressed up like characters from the movie. I've never seen any of that kind of stuff before. It was electric. It was a special moment for sure. And
That's
something
wonderful.
that united generations. So
listen, I gotta commend you. That touched me right there. My dad was 44 when I was born. He had no interest in any of this. He didn't. He's from a completely different. He was born in 1930, so his mindset was completely different than, even my sisters who are a bit older than me were. You know what I mean? Like they were in on what's new and current and everything. So that's why they're the ones who kind of guided me through this. And my brother was off playing sports, so I didn't get to share this with my dad. And unfortunately, I never was lucky enough to have any children. So to hear a story like that, though, Dave, I'm so happy for you that you got to share that with your dad, just like I got to share it with my sister. And I still do to this day. The sister who took me to see Return of the Jedi, we are the Star Wars fans in the family. We text back and forth, send each other the Star Wars stuff. I get Star Wars stuff for Christmas. You know what I mean? From her and, stuff like that. Like it's our thing. And I love that. And I'm just so happy you got to have that with your dad.
Yeah. He and I had similar tastes. He grew up at a time where he was watching Zorro on TV and Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan movies and John Wayne Westerns. He was a senior in high school when the first James Bond movie came out. So he's kind of in that Bond generation.
Nice. Oh, that's so cool though.
Yeah. So
Super Spy? Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So James Bond was like our special thing. I believe he would have taken me to see the James Bond movie in 1983. That would have been my first one because I was old enough. But he didn't take me to that one, and I think it's because the name of the movie was Octopussy, and he couldn't really justify it to my mom. and so it turns out my first Bond movie was A View to a Kill. I saw it with Dad. We would go to every Bond movie together, even after I was an adult and was living another state over. If there was a new Bond movie, I'd make the trip home just so he and I could go see the James Bond movie. He loved Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Batman and all that kind of stuff. So, the game started on my dad. It'll turn into a Def Dad podcast. Well, we don't really want to do that.
That's all right.
But I can't say,
it sounds like it would be a loving tribute, though. So very, very cool, man. Very cool.
I can't say that after you go through that stretch, middle school, high school, where your parents are the least cool people in the world, and you don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah,
I went through that. I went through that phase, but it was also Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade came out right when I was graduating from high school, and Dad and I went and see that, and that bookended the '80s for me because Raiders came out when I was 10. And I'm out of high school on my way to college, and my dad and I go see this movie, which is a father-son movie. And that movie also kind of restored our relationship.
Yeah. Just like it restores Indy's relationship with his dad.
Exactly.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And in real life, my dad's relationship with his father was kind of strained like it is with Indy and his dad in the movie. And so it was another level for it for my dad. So it was pretty cool. But anyway.
Is your dog named Indiana?
No, I wish. But here we are. It's February 26th. Star Wars is coming on CBS. This is the biggest movie ever. And it's actually coming on free television. CBS is hyping this thing up like crazy. Do you have any information on like what they did with this? Did they turn this into any kind of an event?
Well, of course, yeah, it's an event whenever it shows up for sure, especially back then. Like you said, this was before our VHS rentals and everything like that, or at least where they were even close to being commonly readily available.
Right.
What this did though was spur, I think it spurred a more of a deluge of this type of event programming. Again, we were raised on that event programming, that must see TV, that appointment television, right? And so, for example, after this, television is how I ended up seeing the first Superman movie with Christopher Reeve. Another television, like the success of this, a few years later, another television event. You Believe a Man Can Fly.
Yeah, in the early 80s, we were getting like prestige miniseries events, like original to television, whether you're
Yep.
talking about Shogun or North and South or things like that. And then you had, and of course, there's always these TV movies of the week and stuff. But every once in a while, you would get a blockbuster movie that was a few years old.
Yep.
Coming on television. And again, if there may have been VCRs in homes at this point, but it was not a very high penetration in the market. Not everybody had one.
No. My home, we didn't get one till much later. So this kind of thing was the only way.
Yeah.
And like as much fun as I had at the movies, I don't know if my sisters wanted to take me all the time. So it wasn't, it wasn't a thing that we regularly did. We weren't living near the movie theater. It was a bit of a drive to get there, and it was a thing. So movies were more common at home.
What do? You don't have the internet. You don't have home video. If the movie's not playing in the theater, all you have is your memories and and it's probably a big part of why the toys were a success. All the the storybooks and the comic book adaptations.
I had the story, like a little mini kids book on tape for Empire Strikes Back that I listened to over and over again. So let the narrator guy help me learn to read. You know what I mean? With this narrator guy, like I could spell Wampa before I could spell trigonometry.
So
just kidding. I can't spell trigonometry. Anyway,
what are the chances that you tuned in this night on February 26th and watched this on television?
So the memory gets, as you get older, the memory gets a little dustier. This is not something I would have missed. If I'd known about it, I know I would have been like, everyone back off.
Right.
We're doing this. And I probably told my sisters about it too. So now I don't know if they, although my sister, I wanted to watch it with my sister, but she was still at school. So I couldn't, unfortunately, with her, but I did, I would have checked it out for sure.
I don't know how much CBS paid. I don't know the details of the deal. I don't know anything like that, but I do know they gave this a lot of marketing. They were shooting special segments, man on the street, trying to remind everybody the excitement that captivated the whole nation with this movie.
Yeah.
They actually had Mark Hamill hosting segments, I guess, coming in and out of commercial breaks for this broadcast. This is a frame from CBS that night.
Yeah.
They were going all in. They expected this to dominate. In fact, we didn't talk about this off air. You might not have realized this, but the Grammys would take place 2 nights later. Okay, February 28th. And this is when the Jacksons Pepsi commercials, where Michael had his burn accident.
Yes.
The commercials were set to premiere during the Grammys, but they had such confidence in the commercials, and they had such confidence in this Star Wars event on CBS. They actually moved up the debut of these commercials by 2 nights, and those Jackson's Pepsi commercials that have all the brothers in it premiered during this broadcast of Star Wars.
And that makes complete sense. All the sense in the world. I mean, you have a case too, like you said, no internet, no way to really see these movies. And Fox Studios is basically sitting on a gold mine. Lucas had already cashed in. By 1983, all the toys were out, right? 84, they were starting to stretch a little bit into the canon to try and pull out. They were even looking at toy designs like vehicles that were concept vehicles that weren't actually in the movie. Right. But they made them anyway, little transports and stuff. You know the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, one of them featured now in the Mandalorian TV
Yes,
show.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, the troop troop transport. Yeah,
When
absolutely.
I saw that in the episode, I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" I had that toy.
By the way, I do want to get one of those, maybe an aftermarket, like not an original, but get another one and then convert it to hold beer, like 6 beers would be nice. And if I can get the middle to be like an ice pack and then have it on wheels, now I've got this idea. I just need to put it all together. So, but that's the adult in me. So the kid in me, though, knows, or at the time is like, I'll never be able to see this again. If I don't see it, like you said, if I don't see it now on TV, who knows?
When would you ever have another chance? Honestly,
If I missed that episode of The Incredible Hulk, I missed it. It's gone. As
forever.
Far as I know, in 1984, goodbye forever.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get this shot up here. I don't have a smooth segue to this, but when I look at this collection of images of these toys, I mean, it strikes to the heart of my childhood. All of these figures are imprinted on my DNA. This is DefDave's childhood right here.
Oh yes,
and
absolutely. I'm struggling to remember which one of these I had as a kid. To be honest,
I had all of these.
But I'll tell you what, all the ones on the screen, I have them now.
Yeah. So
as an adult collector, I've recently, like within the last 5 years, have been able to start, and I've done okay. But a buddy of mine who was really wanting to get into it, he loved this, and even he's a financial guy, so he was like, "Yeah, it'll be an investment." I'm like, "All right, you know what? The hunt has been fun." Well, maybe I think that's part of why I haven't finished my collection yet, because the hunt's not over yet.
You don't, exactly.
If I finish it, the hunt's over. You know,
you don't want that. No. I had all these, and after Empire came out, I had the Bespin Luke, right, when he's in his utility outfit with pockets and stuff. Yeah. Well, one day, my dog got a hold of that Bespin Luke figure and chewed it up. And my mom was like, "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Like, we'll get you another one." I said, No, Mom, don't. This is perfect. The dog had chewed off his hand. I was like, "You don't understand. You don't understand this. The correct hand." Yes.
So your dog knew canon. Like
I was like,
understood canon.
Like, I say the dog actually improved my figure. This is perfect. I was the only kid on the block with the missing hand on my Luke.
So wait, what you're saying is like your mom's looking at it and she's the one saying, right. And then you're like, "No, it's fine." Like, you're saying to the figure, "Join me. We'll rule the sandbox." Yeah, absolutely.
I can tell you though, this is my pride. I did have the giant Millennium Falcon. We had that for a long time. Okay.
Oh, nice. See, I couldn't get anything like that.
But let me tell you my pride. We had this forever. We had the Death Star.
You did not.
We did. As a matter of fact, for whatever random reason, that little orange trash compactor, we still have it in my mom's garage somewhere, I think. So
I bet you the foam's all messed up.
Well, the foam's long gone.
Long gone, yeah. But they say that that's the one thing that breaks down.
We had the one on the right. The one on the right, that's different. We didn't have. That's a different model. We didn't have that one with the control tables in the middle.
Yeah. Actually, the one on the left is the more familiar one. It's got everything: the gunner station, you got the showdown, trash compactor, the swing. Like I love how they just kind of keyed in on moments.
Right. I know. It's like
to make this figure. It was very cool.
They got everything you needed in a Death Star playset. You got it right there.
Well, yeah, and you could take that and park where 3PO and R2 is. You could park the Falcon just kind of near, like just within eyesight, and then they could be radioing. You know, they could be signaling, comming over to the trash compactor from where they were looking. You know what I mean? Like you could just kind of loosely recreate the scene.
Yeah, I love this. This fascinated me. I mean, and it was huge. You know, it was like 3 feet tall. And my friend down the street, he had the land speeder that the figures fit in, but it was the remote control land speeder.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes,
and I never saw one of those as a kid. Yeah,
we had a land speeder, but we didn't have the remote control version. So
no, you had the good one.
Yeah,
the real one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so like I said, I come from a decent sized family. Around this time, most of my siblings were still home. So I'm not claiming poverty. I will not, like, there are people that have grown up in way, way, way worse circumstances than me. Please, dear listener, don't think that I'm trying to. However, my parents did have to stretch a dollar, you know what I mean? Like, with a lot of mouths to feed. So I wasn't privy to all of it, but that's sort of what makes it fun now.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a broken toy story?
Yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead.
All right. So you can see in my hand the X-Wing that I have. This is the Kenner, the miniature. It's got the metal body.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. And then the plastic wings.
Yes.
Right. I got this 1 year for, I think it was my birthday. And I love this thing. I love this thing. I used to bring it to school and pew pew all around the schoolyard until one day the school bully got a hold of it. And him and his cronies were like, hey, let's see if this thing could fly. So imagine now this is from your point of view at the camera. You're watching it leave. Now I'll let your imagination fill in the rest. You watch it go down, down, down behind some blades of grass because it hadn't been mowed just yet. And then poof, plastic wings just sort of erupt in different directions.
Oh.
And I ran over to it, and all that was left, the metal had survived, of course. The plastic wings, poof, were gone, just broke off. My favorite toy. So this is where I was so happy to, I've got you now, and no one's going to do that to this. You know what I mean? My friends have joked about it, but, you know, because I told them the story, they're like, here, let me see if it can fly. I'm like, no, you know.
I want to get back to the broadcast in just a second, but we've gone down this path with the toys. I want to stay on it for a little bit longer. So you mentioned earlier, you know, and you didn't name these as specific examples, but you were alluding to it. When it comes to specifically, I think G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe, there is this synergy between a toy line and a cartoon. Mm-hmm. And in the case of G.I. Joe, a comic book, they were all kind of working together to promote each other and just kind of driving everything. So I think you can look at Star Wars as being as being the model that taught the toy industry that a storyline is going to drive sales. Like, without a story, these are just random figures in the toy aisle.
Yeah.
You give kids a story that they understand, and now they get excited when they see a character they recognize, and they know how to get the toys to interact with one another.
Yeah, and the marketing all works together. When you have something like Star Wars, where it is geared to it's geared to families, but it can reach children, pulling toys from that works. By contrast, Star Trek, for example, nothing wrong with Star Trek. But I think with its more mature themes, which again, very avant-garde at the time, you know, they're tackling things like racism and political issues and things like that, you know, week to week on TV, not very toyetic. Well, it could be toyetic. You know, kids like me, 9-year-olds, I have no idea what it means that this person has half their face painted black and half their face painted white, and the other one's the opposite. I don't get it. Where's the pew pew? And it's a lot more talky. Again, good show, but a bit more for adults who enjoy science fiction because they can get everything, right? They get the themes. Right. Of course, Kirk being who he was. So there's things like that, you know, are a little more chaste in Star Wars. So it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like Star Trek plays to adults more. So the toys didn't do as well.
Right.
It just because, but you have a franchise like that. But what I found interesting is that Star Wars, like the Star Wars toys, sold because of Star Wars itself. Mm-hmm. Right. By contrast, by the time we get to 84, right in the height of Transformers and Masters of the Universe, stuff like that, they want to sell the toys. So then they make the show around that as opposed to Star Wars, which was the other way around.
Yep, that's true.
They made the toys from the story. Now they're making the story for the toys. By 84 and yeah.
And in America, Ronald Reagan as president deregulated a lot of the rules surrounding children's programming, and so they were the reins were loosened a little bit, and they were able to like really do that.
Reigns are lucid. I've watched actually a couple of these throwback shows, like looking back at that. The dam was broke, like the gates were open. It was game on. And then it was whoever was not just first to the table, but who was best. And for that example, I'd say GoBots versus Transformers. Technically, GoBots came out first, but Transformers was way better. So it just took off.
Yep. And they were both debuted in 84. Yeah.
Same year, 1984. They have the build qualities much better on the Transformers. They had better storytelling, better cartoons, the voice acting. They had all of the key features. So it wasn't just who was first to the table. It was who was best at the table.
Yep. And another example, we've done an episode on it, but it was in 84 that Marvel Comics did Secret Wars. And that was a limited series that was, as far as I'm concerned, well received by fans.
Absolutely.
But it was driven by Hasbro, or driven by Mattel, wanting a toy line. And they told Marvel, you need to give us a storyline if we're going to do this line of toys. And
that's right. Yeah. In fact, actually, some of the characters, sorry if I'm cutting you off, some of the characters get a new costume so they could make, here's Spider-Man in his regular gear. Now here's Black Suit Spider-Man.
Right.
That drive basically gave us Venom.
Yes. Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, you know this. Okay.
Listen,
I'm preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to the choir.
Absolutely. Go back earlier in our feed, and I've already done one episode on Secret Wars. We're going to do another one, probably season 3, because I do these. I'm breaking up my show by quarters of 1984, but it was Secret Wars number 8, which we actually see Spider-Man get the black costume. We're going to do a whole episode just on that.
Wonderful.
And sometimes the labyrinthine logic that goes into character ownership and creatorship. And how comics are just a collaborative process over decades. So yeah, all of that happened in 84. And I think it all started with Star Wars and those Kenner toys. I wanted to get back.
I've seen that too. I've seen specials that talk about that yes, like they give us a toyetic line, a toyetic a comic book series. And so the big Marvel crossover was born.
Yeah.
Like the big event they've carried that on for years now. The big summer event, whatever the big crisis is in the Marvel universe, brings Power Man and Daredevil and Spider-Man and the Avengers and the X-Men. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it really permanently changed comics publishing, because they now build around these company-wide events, which was a new thing in 84. I wanted to tell you this, though. Getting back, we kind of got off track talking about toys, which, that's like one of my favorite topics ever. But this CBS broadcast of Star Wars that Mark Hamill hosted, and that was such a huge event that CBS was counting on, and Pepsi believed in it. They moved the Jackson spots into that broadcast. It did not win its time slot.
I don't know how.
It astounds me. It does not compute when you consider the cultural impact that Star Wars had on this country and on the world. And here we are a year out from Return of the Jedi, a year after Return of the Jedi. And now we're getting the movies on TV. Now it did huge. Like what do we have? Like a 30% share, like a 31% share, like huge amounts of people watching this, but it finished behind a mini series called Lace that was starring Phoebe Cates. Now, listen, I'm as big a Phoebe Cates fan as anybody our age who, watched Fast Times at Ridgemont High. But are you telling me that Phoebe Cates is enough to beat Star Wars on television? I mean, that's hard for me to get my head around.
My only thought was that it is kind of counter programming. And so you have Sunday night. It's possible maybe they mistimed it, and that unfortunately a lot of kids ended up having to go to bed on a Sunday night because they had school the next day.
Yeah.
And so maybe a lot of the TVs ended up getting changed over to this show, which would have been decently advertised, probably looked forward to by teenagers and up, right? Like Phoebe Cates being a bit of an it girl back in the day, like young it girl. So
But I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't
I would
know.
have to think, I would have to think all the girls were watching that and all the guys and were watching Star Wars. I mean, it was a story. I think it was based on a popular novel. It was a story about a film actress who's trying to find her real mom or something because she was put up for adoption. I mean, it sounds like a Hallmark movie. You know, it's just a
Oh well, see
melodrama.
that. I think that answers it right there. Like, what was mom doing?
Yeah,
Hey, if mom says she wants the TV, well, she works hard all week too. So mom gets the TV on Sunday night.
yeah,
If she wants to watch this other show,
yeah,
your little Space Bear movie is going to have to wait. Like
yeah. Exactly. Little space bear movie.
I'm talking about Chewbacca. He's not little and he's not a bear. So like, but that's how my mom would have put it.
Yeah. Now that summer of '80, when I saw Empire Strikes Back like a dozen times, one of
Mm.
those was with my grandfather, who absolutely didn't understand what he was watching, and
Oh no.
he saw when he looked at Chewbacca, all he saw was a scary monster, and he was like, "He's one of the good guys." I was like, "Yeah, I promise. Yeah, don't worry about it." Oh, yeah.
So let me get this straight. These guys hang out with this big scary guy, but meanwhile, this one kid gets stuck out in the snowbank and he's got to fight another big scary guy. They're not buddies. Like,
No,
what
no.
is going on?
Yeah, right.
I bet you like the Battle of Hoth, though. I mean, that some cool
Yeah,
war stuff.
yeah, I guess I don't remember specifically, but I came away that day realizing, like, my dad is my Star Wars buddy, not my grandfather. So
That's all
anyway,
right. But you know what? You gave it. He gave it a chance. He he did it for you. I mean, that's a sweet story right there. Yeah, because
so
hey, you never know.
so hey, Mark, I appreciate you coming on here. I love meeting you. Love talking Star Wars with you. Give
Oh, it's
us
been a pleasure.
try to describe. This whole episode has been trying to find a way to express how enormous Star Wars was to our generation. But try one more time for us. Like, what was the pop cultural impact and legacy of Star Wars? How's that for a loaded question?
Oh wow! And I mean, how do you put near 50 years of history into a couple of sentences?
Yeah.
Let me try.
Yeah.
First of all, it was unlike anything we'd ever seen. Others tried; their budgets didn't work. Their tech didn't always work to the best of its ability. The ideas they had were limited by the technology of their time. George found a way around most of it, for the most part. He admits his work was never completely finished. We found out in '97 that he still wanted to tell more and do it a bit differently. But so we never seen the likes. It had such broad themes, such true, honest themes, good versus evil. You didn't need the minutia and the detail of what's going on to understand that things were bad and these good people are trying to do something about it. Now, as Star Wars fans, we live for the minutia now. Like, if I don't know the exact backstory of this one character that's in this cantina, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I don't know what I'm gonna write an angry email or something. I don't know. But back then it was easy to pick up, easy to run with, easy to get behind, and so much fun to watch. And you could revisit it because for different reasons. Maybe you're watching it and you want to focus on Luke's hero's journey. You're studying Joseph Campbell like Lucas did. Maybe you just want to see the banter with Han and Leia. You know what I mean? A little will they, won't they? Maybe you just want to see the lightsabers and the blasters. Sure. Maybe you want to kind of delve deeper into like what, hang on to what Ben Kenobi's saying about the Force. You know what I mean? Like, what is this thing that binds us together? There's so many different ways to come at it on rewatching. It just, and then sometimes you just sit back and watch it as a fan, just drinking it in.
Yeah.
For me, Star Wars is a safe space. I understand how things work there. I don't always understand what's going on outside my door, but I do understand what goes on in a galaxy far, far away. And for that, it holds an eternal spot in my heart.
Awesome. Mark, I got one last question. Before 1984 is over, we would get another Star Wars event on television.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure.
Yes.
So compare, how would you rank these two 1984 Star Wars specials? The first Ewok TV movie or the broadcast premiere of Star Wars?
Well, they both excited me for the same reason, more Star Wars. Admittedly, I came out of one being like, yes, that is exactly how I remembered it. And I was so happy to be able to revisit it again because it had been a while. The other one, I was like, well, at least it's more Star Wars. Okay, sure. You know what? Better than nothing. I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it.
I remember being vastly disappointed in the Ewok movie. I asked my dad why were there no lightsabers, and only then did he explain to me that only Jedi had lightsabers, and that was a piece that I hadn't put together yet in my head. But anyway,
well, as far as I knew, only like 3 people wielded lightsabers, and one of them was dead. Well, 2 of them were dead. You know, so Obi-Wan, Vader, and Luke. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even know the Emperor had one until until 2002. So, or no, 2005. Excuse me, I didn't know he had one. Yeah.
Mark, all right, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Before you go, I want you to tell people about the Or Is It podcast. What's it about? And, tell people all about it.
Oh, well, thank you. So if you look up Canadian Movie Crew, the Or Is It podcast, what it is myself and my co-host, Derek. We look back at movies and we try and find the real story behind the story. So, let's take the Mortal Kombat movie, for example. That's one I like to use. Have you seen that movie? The one from the 90s?
A long time ago, yeah.
Long time ago?
Only once, yeah.
Okay, go back and watch it. Is it the story about a fighting tournament? Or is it the story about one man trying to date Sonya Blade in the most exotic way I can think of?
Well, okay.
Go back. You watch Shang Tsung, and he's got a different agenda than I think we realize. And so it wasn't until I looked at it through the Or Is It eyes that I was like, I see what you're up to there, buddy. But anyway, yeah, it's me and my buddy Derek. We're having fun, just poking fun at older movies. Some of them, especially the ones that take themselves really seriously, are the easiest to do. We've even taken, poked a little fun at movies that we like. Speed, for example. Love the movie Speed. Was there a chance to make a few jokes? Absolutely. Was there a real story behind this story? You'll have to listen to the episode to find out.
All right. So I got a question for you. Karate Kid, it's a movie where Daniel LaRusso is the hero and Johnny Lawrence is the villain, or is it?
If you've watched the show How I Met Your Mother, they kind of did this already. the one of the main characters, Barney, talks about how it's this young man's dream to win the All Valley tournament when this upstart from New Jersey pulls an illegal move and dashes all of his dreams. That's the real story behind the story. So
there you go. Karate Kid, one of my favorite from '84.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Be covering it. And my buddy Jeff Johnson at the Film By podcast, he will die on the hill that LaRusso was actually the villain of that movie. So I had to throw that out there for him.
He must love the Cobra Kai show.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, don't get started on that. It's time for us to go. Don't get me started on
All right.
We'll be here another hour.
Absolutely.
Art, it was a pleasure, and I look forward to talking to you again.
DefDave, thank you so much for having me on your show. All the best to you. Looking forward to listening to all the 1984 stuff. You've already got me excited just talking about the episodes that I'm going to go look at now. They're upcoming. Just can't wait.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I will talk to you later. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here now. Come in next week because we're going to keep the calendar on February 26th. We're not even going to leave this broadcast because in the world of advertising, I've already talked about it. We got a huge debut during the broadcast of Star Wars this night. This would be the premiere of those Jackson's episodes. I've already had Sean Shackelford on the show before as we talked about the accident that Michael suffered during the production of one of these commercials. But here we are 2 days out from the Grammys, and these commercials are finally hitting the air. And I've got an entire episode dedicated to that. Sean Shackelford will be joining me again as we discuss those commercials. So look, I don't know how Mark got here in 1984, found some kind of Star Wars way to travel through time and the space between places. I didn't get that. But look, you can go back to 2026 if you want to, or you can choose to stay with me right here in 1984, and I'll talk to you next time.